Thank you. There's so many problems going on right now in the country. As I interact with people in Oklahoma, they're frustrated with where things are going with the economy. With the rising inflation, literally inflation we have not seen for 40 years. People that are 40 years old and younger have never experienced an economy like we're experiencing right now. But for those that lived during the time of Jimmy Carter, they all remember extremely well what it was like. What it was like to literally every single week when you go to the grocery store for prices to be higher, to be able to watch prices accelerate month after month after month. The policies that have been put in place this year by the Biden administration and folks in this body have led directly to rampant inflation across our nation and are causing a major problem. The debt ceiling was just voted on just days ago here in this body. It was $2.5 trillion. That $2.5 trillion is set aside for the next 13 months or so. There's an enormous gathering of debt. We continue to be able to see the inflation continue to rise. And in the middle of it is a conversation about this bill that's called Build Back Better. Now, we haven't seen all the bill yet. It's 2,000 plus pages, but the pages change every week, and they have for weeks and weeks. We still have large sections of the bill that's being dropped out that just says we'll add in more information here later. But the sections that we do have and that have been scored, there are major problems here. This is not just a Republican-Democrat conversation. This is the direction of the country conversation. Is this really what we want to do in the direction that we want to go? This bill, as it was scored independently by CBO, looked at this bill and said if it looks out over 10 years with these policies in place, would add $3 trillion more in debt. Now, as it's written with all the budget gimmicks and everything in it, they say, well, it actually will only add $365 billion in debt. Though the White House continues to claim it's all paid for, it's all paid for, it's free, it's free, it's free. The more we dig into it, the more problems that we really see. Some of those are philosophical changes. This bill changes what has been entitlements in the past. Entitlements have been connected to actually work, to incentivize people to be able to work, knowing that people don't grow out of poverty by constantly getting government benefits. You're trapped in poverty. Work is what actually helps people escape out of poverty. That's what Bill Clinton talked about often, about changing welfare as we know it. This bill actually changes it back to welfare as we knew it, and shifts back entitlements to say you don't have to actually be working to receive all these government benefits. In fact, this bill even says you don't even have to be an American citizen to receive all these benefits. That if you're illegally present in the country, you get thousands and thousands of dollars in government benefits. If you're not working, but you're able to work and you choose not to, you get thousands and thousands of dollars in benefits. I have to tell you, for the folks that I know that leave for work at 6 a.m., and head to work, they're a little frustrated that their tax dollars are going to people still in bed that are not engaging. But that's what this bill does, is it changes us from a situation where we incentivize work to we incentivize not working. Part of that is in the child tax credit that's being discussed. Many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle voted to change the child tax credit for this year that was already in place, that already incentivizes work, that help individuals with small children that need help. That's been in place in the tax code. In fact, Republicans have also voted for that in the past with a work incentive. That was changed in March of this year in a straight partisan vote, and it was done for a temporary basis because of COVID, to actually allocate dollars to families, regardless if they're working or not, during the time of COVID. Now the conversation is that needs to be extended, not just through COVID, but to just keep extending it, to take away the work requirements, to take away the requirement to be a citizen of the United States to receive these dollars, and to actually make it where you're getting a monthly check rather than just a tax incentive at the end of the year based on if you were working or not. And the working requirement's not high. It's literally if you worked and earned $2,500 in a year, you qualify for the tax credit. But they take away even that requirement for your family. The child care piece has been interesting because I've heard a lot of my Democratic colleagues talking about, well, we're going to give free child care to folks. The problem is a multitude of issues with this. One is, if you're a faith-based entity for child care, you're excluded from this, which about half of the child care facilities around the country are provided by churches and faith-based nonprofits, rural and urban areas. They're all cut out. The other challenge is, while they talk about free child care, free child care, free child care, a very liberal think tank just did the math on this, what it would mean for middle-class families that actually do child care at that same facility. Middle-class families that are paying right now for child care would, after this bill is put in place, they estimate that it would cost $13,000 more a year for child care if you're not getting the subsidies. So if you're getting the subsidies, it's free. If you're $1 past the subsidies, you're going to pay $13,000 more a year for your child care. I hope you're tracking the cost of natural gas and as it is raised, because it's about to go up again. If this bill back, what I call the Build Back Broke bill, passes, the cost of natural gas and the cost of heating across America will go up because there's a new fee on methane. I could go on and on and on with the issues that are in this bill, that are content, that are philosophical issues, that are issues that affect people that live in my state and will raise the cost for them. Some people ask me, who are the folks that actually like this bill? Well, there's quite a few folks that like this bill. The folks that are in wealthy Democrat-run states, they love this bill because the wealthiest individuals in the highest tax states, and those are the blue states, the wealthiest individuals in the highest tax states, they get a huge tax break in this bill. For the wealthiest individuals, they get an $80,000 a year cut in their taxes, what they call state and local taxes. So if you're in New York or New Jersey or Illinois or in California and you're in the top 1%, you get an $80,000 cut in your taxes. They like this bill. Somebody else that likes this bill are the wealthy that actually buy electric vehicles. Incredibly expensive, beautiful vehicles, many of them, but they get $12,500 off of their vehicle based on this bill. The environmental activists love this bill because billions of dollars actually go directly to these environmental activist groups, many of them that were very active in the Biden campaign. They get additional billions of dollars coming to them. In fact, there's billions of dollars to create a new civilian climate corps, a group of young people that'll travel around the country actually promoting environmentalism paid for with federal tax dollars. They like this bill. Unions like this bill because currently, if you donate to a nonprofit, you're able to take some of that off of your taxes. But under this bill, that goes away and it's replaced with if you pay union dues, you get to write that off your taxes. So unions definitely like this bill. And the folks that really, really like this bill, reporters and journalists. Reporters and journalists love this bill. So some of them are not talking about the content of this bill. The reason I say that, because this bill pays half the salary for reporters and journalists all over the country. This bill puts in place that half the salary of reporters and journalists in every city and every community across America will get half of their salary paid for by the federal tax dollars. Let's see, government-paid reporters and journalists. What could go wrong with that? There are a lot of issues in this bill. And as we talk through this bill, and as thankfully this bill is slowing down dramatically so people are able to see the contents of this bill, I have more and more people that catch me and say, I have a major concern with this bill. And I have to tell you, I have had for months. And we continue to be able to speak out on issues that change the direction for our nation that are actually built into this bill.